Hello News and their sources have people tied to a Michael Francis involved with former director of the FBI Robert Luskin and former director James Comey and his family members involved with other directors too in the World Trade Center attack when people intercede states involved with child abusers, leaders, and kids years apart. A bunch of people tied to Puff Daddy, Puff Diddy at Sean Puppy Combs at Trinity College in 2006. I mean 2011. In March of 2011, involved with Sean Puppy Combs and with there's a Joshua Stryker involved with a Dean Alford putting fake things in databases, with a principal being upskirt nature. He's one of the ones that rolls with him, intercities, and with some untimely deaths. People involved with an untimely death at Trinity College, even if it was made up, they're on my street involved with predicate acts at Trinity College, with the FBI and some police forms and their family members next to Trinity College through time. And they have roles with some courts and police switching and forging names. A bunch of people with corrections officers and positions with the prisons involved with crimes at the crime scenes, forcing them to, with child abusers, leaders, and kids years apart. All kinds of identity theft, fraud, slanders. A bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court, Harper Courts, and the Connecticut District Court involved with names on all sides of criminal and civil cases, and the court's names putting sequence shifts and their delusions, and they're preventing writing so they can stick fake things in databases. All kinds of drugs and medicines crimes with the intelligence communities, foreign and domestic. All kinds of differences, racketeering worse than war crimes. Rules replacing what our founders communicated about how and why they did not have free speech. Replacing what they communicated about why and how. The breaching method had reassigned nature's communications with black people's whites of eyes. These are also some people with body dumping spots. The body dumping spot of Billy Grosso is involved with people with the state judicial branch offices, also with Facebook, and Kevin Dillon, increasingly involved with predicate acts on my street with sexual and medical offenders of kids. People at Hartford Hospital that faked conversations with me. Bunch of judges and prosecutors, different courts, and their family members involved with the same house/S involved with them. Now you need to get them on paper with Trinity College and the courts involved, and get them on paper with the Connecticut courts first. These are people also with the Ninth Circuit Court next to the World Trade Center right before the attack. Collusions with names at the World Trade Center and spots next to it, like that court next to it, and the court itself with a sequence shift, and collusions with that, with uses of it by Connecticut intelligence involved with predicate acts, and uses of names on all sides of that case and their sources in the court switching sequences interstates. These are also people further with more child abusers, leaders, and kids all brought up at the same time, and abuses of their own kids, and the differences of abuses of them and the other kids is involved. Increasingly, a principal I had too at that same campus, I caught them with the principal child abuser forcing it. They have retired police chiefs involved, and they have Mr. Murphy involved with people with Korea, involved with Kevin Harris and his mother, and people with Hartford Hospital involved with a whole bunch of different countries, involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, putting fake things in next to each of the campuses. A Harris family has roles with people on Valley Crest Street in Wethersfield, with a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, involved with some Demorrow family members. A bunch of people next to Trinity College and Central Connecticut State University recorded, confessed, demonstrate, confirmed them involved with all kinds of natures of wire crimes and sexual and like all kinds of rape threats and rape confessions of women since they were kids, increasingly involved with people with Central Connecticut State University, people that are the only types of counters to those type of things, including the Department of Children and Families, with investigators that were involved with sexual circles, and people that run the prisons. They're hiding life progressions at the prisons and all kinds of criminally foreign influence uses of databases. There are people that live near me named Colo and Smith involved with the judicial branch offices and the corrections offices and Wethersfield town offices involved with predicate acts further in the campus of the principal child abuser, and the confessions that brought up their names and extended family members, like ones with the name Scalora. And there's a Phil Clough further involved with a Bob Chase with Whiting Forensics, and a Joshua Julian, increasingly with writing forensics since I was a kid, involved with federal crimes with state police and state police families interstates and retired police chiefs and their intimate ties, involved with the 80 Carriage Hill Drive near me with a people named Kalal, involved also with people named Kerr and Demar, who have overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and Sammy the Bull, involved with their confessions and demonstrations and recorded federal evidence crimes with court switching and forging names, with child offenders, including sexual and medical. And I never had classes with them. These are putting people, fake ties, fake natures, and ties to people in the same grade. And then they call it the same class, too. No. All kinds of sick things at and next to each of the campuses I went have connections between those people, and the names next to them involved with identity theft, fraud, slander, sequence shifts. The interbranch are refusing to get on paper. Weathersfield police have been forging and switching names. They attached me to fake conversations with the police at the police station when I was a kid, and now as an adult. A bunch of people involved with them with this. Some Mendez police, too, put me in fake conversations with them. These are increasingly people time collusions with Saudi attackers and with names at the World Trade Center and next to it, in the court next to it, all sides of the case in the court, as people involved with all sides of cases, criminal and civil, and depositions in Connecticut, and the courts at the same time involved with predicate acts and criminally foreign uses of databases and relative delusions. So we need to get them on paper, one name and sequence. And fear God, if that was the James Comey with the New Britain Superior Court when I was in there. One time there was a guy who looked just like James Comey, involved with former director of the F.B.I. Robert Luskin with that court. Before the World Trade Center attack, they affected confessions and requests to help to me. And I tried to get help, and they keep attaching me to fake and change conversations with people and involved with it. The Britain Superior Court has roles with the F.B.I. and other agencies and foreign and domestic military on all sides of that campus, too, in Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, Connecticut, as one's involved with the Central Trinity College and next to it, with a Joshua Stryker involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, with a Dean Alford involved also with Dean Judd and his family members, and some people involved with murders involved with Dean Alford, including some probation officers associated with Mike Oliver for themselves, and their roles also with Tabucky Jones and people with New Britain campuses and football, people associated with Aaron Hernandez, involved also with all kinds of corruption with the state corrections offices and people training corrections officers at Central Connecticut State University, also training state police through time and people with the FBI, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions, raw, all kinds of racketeering with people from Weathersfield, intercities involved with that campus, involved with crime, body dumping spots increasingly involved too, and the serial killers and the killers involved with them with predicate acts, and the witness protection program involved. Get me off the fake conversations with FSB also that is involved, and the Weathersfield police chiefs, also with mayors from Weathersfield and intercities of Connecticut, involved with their family members too, with predicate acts with the judicial branch offices and corrections offices, falsified news, and collusions with all natures of crime scenes. They have these people. They also have the people that are like pretending to be in prison, but they're police forms demonstrably. Like even if they're not, they have collusions with those people. Like people with the name Cintron from Puerto Rico, involved with the police chief Cintron from Weathersfield. And his daughter involved also with the Mazzucato Bakery and a modern pastry with the Mayo family and other people involved with them, like a Mike Roberts involved with a Sandy Sound View in Connecticut too, with a bunch of people involved through time with them, including a bunch of people tied to a Mike Pandolf and the woman I don't know her name. Since she was a girl, she was increasingly planting evidences with people on my street, increasingly involved with her with the Sammy the Bull and other criminal enterprises, and Joshua Stryker sticking big things in databases behind my back, big ties, big nature ties to me, like he did with the Dean Alford, and there's some cop with the name Darth Vader at Trinity College involved with some untimely deaths there, and people involved with my street on Weathersfield, Connecticut, involved with a whole bunch of people with my past neighbors, involved also with the Ray Kalal, and people involved with this name Smith, with the foreign and domestic military. What are they doing with the town offices with the Smith family and that kid tied to them, with the Hartford Hospital faking conversations with me, cutting me off from speaking with a doctor. I don't even know the doctor's name yet. And then they put a sequence shift with some other guy, like a Dr. Dingleberry or Dr. Dewberry, also brought up by the confessions of an Anthony Agman, also involved with the Agman, with the Leahy family, and people named Mendez, with sexual and medical offenders of kids with the police and the courts at the same time involved with them. People on the campuses, a Miss Riley, who was my algebra teacher, repeated sexual things and how she was Jewish about my neighbor, one of my neighbors, increasingly involved also with the Anthony Agman and some domain police involved at Fox Connecticut News and next to them with child abusers years ago who had time roles with that, with the kids that were adults that were roles with the other child abusers, has something to do with their roles with the buildings next to Fox Connecticut News too. And they're refusing to identify themselves legitimately into branch. They won't get out the paper. They have all kinds of digital crimes too with whining forensics and with Facebook people personally and professionally involved with them. Right since before Facebook was founded, the people involved with them with predicate acts. Every year since the World Trade Center attack, the FBI has collusions with intercity police departments in Connecticut and with the same house slash S in my area and the streets parallel with a whole bunch of people tied to them, planting evidences from other areas too, like a Robert Rodriguez who brought up roles with the untimely deaths and the ones on my street who were involved at Trinity College was one of them. You guys better get, and he confirmed that on Facebook. I didn't respond to him on my street. I knew they were trying to put fake ties, fake natures or ties to me, intercities. And with confessions, I've been watching confessions. This breaching method has been watching confessions from nations, countries too, A through Z, blaming other things, others themselves for things that it caused historically. And it keeps that the outcome slash S. It keeps a bunch of fakes with integrity and tactically delusions are up, pretending they could, in other words, they're only capable of needing to hide life progressions and shown how to do it by others. These are people not legitimately roles with the respect for their blind respect for the FBI and the courts. And the corrections and judicial branch officers involved with this, Michael Francis and Suge Knight, and people with the communications with the prisons, the corrections officers and judicial branch officers, increasingly involved with Sammy the Bull, with some sexual and medical offenders putting fake things and bringing up confessions and planting evidences, the same ones with the courts and police and at corners of buildings and the campuses with their educators too, putting fake ties and fake natures of ties between kids, pretended into databases with people from off the campuses. Former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, his co-defendants and their family members and their lawyer too, increasingly involved with this, with all sides of criminal and civil cases, including this Puff Daddy case, and with the James Comey and his that prosecutor, his daughter involved, other prosecutors involved with sexual and medical offenders like a Brian Silver, involved also with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and all sides of criminal and civil cases, people with Connecticut's district court at the same time, crimes with them. Same thing with New Britain Superior Court and Harper Courts and their family members and intimate ties before and after the World Trade Center attack. Dear God. Yeah.